Hello guys, it's Crazy Owl again, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to use this structure block. And I'm pretty sure that this is both in Bedrock and Java. I know for sure it's in Bedrock because I play in Bedrock, but I'm not 100% sure for Java, so if it's not working for you, then please don't blame me. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment, but other than that, let's go. So the first thing we should probably go over is how you can even get this structure block, because it can only be obtained through commands. It's not a block that's in the creative inventory. And it's also unobtainable in survival without cheats, but to get it, you'll have to use /give, and then if you want to give it to yourself, then @s, and then just type in structure _ block. Now this may be different in Java if it is available, and you could probably look it up then, but this is what it is in Bedrock. And when you do that, you will be given a structure block. And I have a few examples of things to copy with it, because you can like copy and paste. I'll do that first. So for this, let's say you want to you can save structures, and you can load them. So let's name this structure birdcage. But there's a few more things we want to do with it. First of all, we don't want this grass in here. We just want the cage. So we want to change the Y offset to 0. And that way we won't have the grass. We also don't want to select the area around it, but that's where the block is. So we have to set the offset for Y and Z to 1, so it'll actually go to the edges of the birdcage, or X and Z. I might have said Y and Z. But it's still too wide, so we need to change the size. And if it's too tall, you can change the Y. So the Y is going to be 3. And then the X and the Z have to go down to 2. And now we have a bird cage that we can copy and paste. And then there's a couple more options. Remove blocks just means that you delete what's ever in there. So if there's a big building you want to delete, but you don't want to blow up the things around it, you can use one of these, set these sizes to big, and then just remove all the blocks. But I'm going to have that off, and I'm going to also turn on include entities. So if you turn on include entities when you paste it, basically, which I'll show you how to do, the parrot, or whatever entity you have, will be included. If it's off, then the parrot will not be included. And then press save, make sure you have it named. And then, if you take another structure block, you can type in birdcage and load, and it'll load it. But you have to make sure that you're turning all the offsets correct. So we set the Y to 0, the X to 1, and the Z to 1, and then load it. But make sure that those offsets are the same. And now you have 2 bird cages. Now let's do it with the tree. And this is one of the ones that I have used the most when actually using it. And it's already the right width and length, but we need to make it taller, and we don't want it to copy the ground. So we're going to make the height 7, which is too tall, so we bring it down 1. And the offset needs, oh gosh, not 10, 0. And then now we've cut off more, so we need to do 7. So then we have this tree ready to be pasted. So I'm going to save it as tree. And then we're not going to include entities. I don't think there are any entities, but just in case. And then we don't want to remove blocks. And you can just turn off the bounding box as those lines, but I like to keep them on so I know where the borders are. And then just save it. And before we go on to the next one, if you're loading it and you don't change this offset, then what happens is if there's no offset in what you just copied, but there is when you paste it, it will get rid of the ground. But if you make the offsets equal when you load it, so the offset for y was 0, so it's going to be 0 again. Then when you load it, it will be normal. The final thing I want to copy and paste is this house. And this would be like a villager house of sorts, I think. So I made even the floor, and that emerald block is where the workstation would be, but I wouldn't want to copy and paste it with the workstation. And I'm just going to throw a villager in there for the sake of this video. I'm going to close the door. I'm going to make it so that he can't get through. And then I'm going to put the villager in. So I spawned him in. I'm going to trap him in there. Put the door back on. He turned into a... What did he turn into? I have no idea. But, he's still a fisherman. But let's say we wanted to copy it without the villager. So we set the sizes like we did before. And we want to make sure that this time we do want to include the ground, because there's the carpet and stuff in there that we don't want to lose. So you do want to include the ground for this. So you want to leave the y offset at -1. And then we do want to include the entities or we don't want to, so that the villager isn't in there when we paste it. And then I'm just going to set the structure name as house. And the structures are just for this world, so you can't copy a structure in one world and paste it in another. But then we can bring this over here, offset -1 like it was before, load, don't include entities, and then house. That's not how you spell house. And then also, once you're done copying and or pasting, you can get rid of the structure blocks. It won't get rid of the structure itself, it'll just get rid of the outlines around it that we don't really like, so I'd suggest doing that. And that is how to use a structure block.